welcome to the chaos. My ring light is dying. So we're gonna try and see if I have a cord, nope, within anywhere nearby that can help with that situation, because the lighting in this corner is atrocious. But this is, you know, this is my desk setup right now, so got to work with it. Aha! Found something. How am I doing this? How can I do this? I don't think I have a port that I can use this for. Huh. Oh, no. I figured it out. Hi, Coco. Come on. Don't worry, I did not land on her. I saw her. I landed with some space because she's my precious child, and she's, look at her, she's over there cleaning herself. There we go. Uh-huh. See, now you can see my face, because I know that's what you guys come here for. Me. Me and my aesthetic. If you don't know why that's funny, go look at how absolutely atrociously dressed I tend to be in these things. I don't really have a tendency to just kind of wear anything. Like, I looked cute 10 minutes ago, but then I got cold, and so I decided to get cozy, and here we are. But we are going to start the stream. I need to make sure audio is balanced as per usual. Let's do that right now. Oh, fun. So there's no desktop audio coming. Weird. That's absolutely weird. I think it's because I don't remember. Because I did stream the other week. Did I use music the other week? But I'm thinking it's because I recently moved to a much quieter place. Like, remember, we used to live on a highway, and so obviously my audio situation is going to change dramatically because of that. It also could be the song. Oh, what's going on? Music's playing, but yeah. I'm just waiting to see if I can hear any of this goddamn music. I have these cool beats playing. Stream Beats. If you're like a content creator, Stream Beats is CC0 music that they give out for free. And if you felt like uncomfortable just taking the music, they have they have licenses that you can get for each song, so that way if you can feel secure that if anything were to happen, then you'll be sure. I'm trying. Like, I don't hear the music at all. It's weird. I really just almost don't hear the music at all, but then it goes straight to, like, the music is way too loud, and there's no in between. Oh, did we find it? Maybe? Find a decent balance? Maybe a little louder. It's weird. This is weird. I've not been, the audio levels is probably the biggest struggle I have, but the stream, I think this should be fine. Maybe a little bit louder. Why is it so quiet? Like, I just want some nice undertoned beats underneath everything. But yeah, it's a work in progress. This should be fine. Okay. I think we're in a good place. And this can, like, provide music and background and atmosphere for the video. Okay. Oh god. Don't break things. Cool. Salutations, friends. My name is Brianna Sukiyama Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar. And before we actually get into the stream, I do have some housekeeping-esque things that I want to get into. It's important. Don't click off. Don't try and come back in a little bit. It's important stuff, and it should be brief. So, basically, what's going on is books may or may not become in like a month. Books may or may not become inconsistent, or more, like there might be more. We don't know for sure yet. So here's what happened. I recently got a job that, for the most part, because of the way the job's structured, for the most part, when I get downtime, which I would say there's a lot of downtime, but we travel for the job, and those are long travel periods. And for the most part, when we're doing those travels, and then when I do breaks, and sometimes we end up having to stay overnight in another state, and on those nights I read, and so I have a lot more time to read and during the weekends than I used to. And so we may get into a point where I might be able, because I have so much more time to read, I might be able to actually, get those streams out more and have more books read and get more streams out. But on the flip side, I have started getting really into better annotating and stuff when I'm using Kindle and ebook. So I can take notes of like phrases and stuff, like phrases and paragraphs and stuff like that I find really impactful. And also like actual quotes of things that I find maybe awkward or something like that. And so I'm also, starting with this book that we're going to be talking about today, I've been very in depth, not very in depth, but more in depth with discussing and talking about and writing and notating my feelings towards the works. So that itself, between taking the notes on the Kindle and then transferring those notes onto my notebook in my actual tablet, so that way I can, format them all in one place that I can look at and take any extra notes on top of that. That also takes a little bit longer. So that could cause, between reading more but also taking more time to really put notes into the books, that could balance everything out. We don't know. But I do think it would be nice to start taking these notes that I'm taking on the books and posting them to my Patreon so patrons can see what exactly it is, like what phrases and all these paragraphs and phrases and stuff that I find super impactful and super great that I want to talk about. And so I'll be putting those notes and sharing them onto my Patreon. Maybe I'll share them onto my Discord. Maybe. Link will be down below if you want to check all of those things out. But for right now, the reason why I say it's going to be a month before we know, we might start getting into knowing how this all is going to balance out, is because at the moment I have 3 books to stream. The one we're doing today, Song of the Forever Rains. Then I started and finished a book called The 7-Day Switch. And then I started and finished Binti, which I always knew was going to be a very quick read, but I finished that, and now I'm currently reading Lord of the Flies. I did add Song of the Forever Rains and The 7-Day Switch into my rotation. I just shoved them in there because with all the Prime Day giveaways and discounts and stuff, they also had this there's a subscription, this email subscription with Prime Reading that allows you to get notified about books and get copies of books before they're released, so you can get them at discounts and stuff like that. And to advertise for that, they allowed, during Prime Week and Prime Month, they allowed people, new and recurring members of that whole situation, that as long as they had Prime, were able to get books for free. And so that's how I ended up getting the Song of Forever Rains and 7-Day Switch. And I wanted to go ahead and read them really quickly because they just came out this month, if both of them are already even out. So I wanted to just throw them on there, see if I could be at the forefront of the wave, if there is a wave of popularity with these books. I wouldn't be surprised if the E.J. Mello book did. You know, 70 Switch is one of those, like, kind of general fictions I could see, like, being read at, like a book club, like a standard book club. So, I can see that being a thing, but otherwise. But, yeah, so we wanted to just see if I can get in on the ground floor. I can be the person you guys look to see if you want to get into these series. And for Song of the Summer Rains, Song of the Forever Rains. Oh my god, did I type it wrong? Edit. Oh no, it's Song of the Forever Rains. Oh no. Song of the Forever Rains. Save. Hopefully I didn't break anything. We'll see. But, for this book, I do think it is worth the read. I do believe I actually rated it 5-star on Goodreads. And let's get into what is this book about. So, Larkyra, that's how we've decided to pronounce this name. Larkyra and her sisters are some of the few people in their world, in their land, that have the lost god's gift of magic. And they are these 3 noble girls, all relatively young. I think Larkyra just turned 19. And they live in the town, but when they go over to the Thief Kingdom, where in the Thief Kingdom, everyone except one dude, everyone else wears masks to protect their identity, and in the Thief Kingdom, the 3 of them are considered the Musai. 2, someone has been taking the drug phorria out of the Thief Kingdom. Phorria in this world is a drug that where you've siphoned magic out of a person that has magic and you inject it into yourself. It gives you some false magic, but nothing close to what someone born of magic actually has. Someone has been taking it out of the Thief Kingdom, and that has led Larkyra to go investigate the home of I don't remember these people's last names. Actually, I think Darius's last name is McKinnon, and his stepfather Hazar, who has invited Larkyra over to the estate to essentially in that like olden era of like he wants to feel her out to see if he wants to be a wife kind of thing. So she's coming to visit the estate as a guest of Hazar. Nugget, get down. My cats. You know. But she's going to investigate under the guise that she's there to be a guest of Hazar. And then Darius is Hazar's stepson. So, we do find out that Hazar has been taking the phorria, and he uses his power to abuse Darius, then make Darius and everyone in the home, all the staff, forget about the events that took place. Cut it out. He uses it to make them forget about the events that take place. And but they make the game, he uses the drug to abuse Darius. Yes. And the reason why Larkyra is able to figure it out is because, she has her own magic, and because it is her own magic born to her, she is stronger than Hazar is, so she is able to fend off his, incessant attempts to try and make her as well forget along with everyone else in the house. There's shenanigans happen, and we end up getting to a point where Larkyra, her sisters Naya and Arabessa, as well as Darius and I don't remember the name of the dude that lives with them. I think Zamiri. I want to say Zamiri. But they get together and they make a plan to try and stop Hazar. And my god, is this plan so convoluted and ridiculous. So here's the thing. The Musai, when they perform together, they all have relatively musical gifts. Larkyra's magic is tied to her voice, her speaking and her singing. Arabessa's magic is tied whenever she can play absolutely any fucking instrument, and when she plays the instrument, magic. And Naya, her magic is through her dance and through her movement. So in the Thief Kingdom, they will perform together, and it like can drive people without the gift of magic absolutely insane. And it can like cause people with the gift of magic to also like freak out and like get really emotional. And their plan was to get this potion shit, and they were going to pour that into the drinks that everyone was going to be drinking, and ensure that none of the staff gave Hazar that drink, because that drink would make everyone else immune to the magic, so they would perform, and then Hazar would lose his mind, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's going crazy, and he can't be king, he can't be lord here anymore. Absolutely not. So that was like, it was so convoluted. What ends up happening is the butler, who has been doing his best to try and tend to Darius since the abuse started, he finds the vial, hears Darius tell everyone, like, make sure Hazar only drinks from his, like, special liquor. And the butler thinks that Darius is trying to kill Hazar. And the butler's like, you've gone through way too much. You've dealt with this for way too long. I should have done something to protect you, to stop this long ago. I will not let your soul be burned. So I will do this, because he thinks it's poison. So he puts that into Hazar's drink. Hazar drinks it. Everyone's like, oh no, the plan's ruined. And then what ends up happening is, because Hazar has the magic in him that he's like injected with phorria, it starts to essentially like eat him inside out, because it is now taking away, it's made him immune to magic, and it's getting rid of all the magic that he's injected. And so he starts like freaking the fuck out, starts to look crazy. Darius is like, I still couldn't, like, as abusive and terrible as this man was, I can't stand to see him in pain. So he goes to try and help Hazar, but Hazar's freaking out and ends up falling off the balcony and dying. Or we assume he dies. Technically, there's no proof that he died, but we assume that he died. And then Larkyra and Darius get engaged. So I think this book was extremely well written. I think there's some great quotes throughout the book. Like, here's a quote. Yes, life is made to move in one direction, forward, continued Larkyra. It's our souls that act as the winds guiding its course. Life can be given to all, but only our souls decide how we want to live. Like, that's so good. That's so good. I love the sisters. I love the sisters together. And maybe, because the next book, which I immediately pre-ordered, that's coming out in October, that is going to be focused on Naya. And like literally the end of the book is just tossing up the storyline to go on to the next book. That's all it is. So we were reading the next book, and that's going to be focused on Naya. And I don't know if it's the sisters all together or if it's Naya's like sass, but I absolutely love it. So there's another scene where they're at, because all 3 girls were born same day, years apart. And you have, on this day, it's their birthday party, but it's special because it is Larkyra's, I want to say Evanjour, something like that, like a coming of age. And they're at this party, and this one super awkward dude is like, he says, like, late at nights, she's like fragile. She's super fragile. And then she's super fragile, and then Naya's just like, okay, but how is she in the morning? If she's this crazy at night, what is she like in the morning? I fear she'd shatter into pieces, chimed Lady Arabessa, unless she's like a desert flower, replied Naya, close up under the stars, alive under the sun. That's like a regular flower, corrected Lady Arabessa. Regular flowers sleep at night. I'm fairly certain it's also desert ones. Then why specify the difference in the first place? Just say she's like a flower. And like, they're having this little argument while this dude is having a panic attack because he doesn't know how to respond to this. And I love I love how they give these girls so much life and so much personality and so much character when you really, like, even though they're the main characters, you didn't have to. My biggest issue with the book, because I am running out of time for the stream, I can probably go through a couple more quotes that I love, but we'll end on a good point. We'll end on a good note with some more quotes. But my biggest issue with the book, I had two. One, I think in general, the way the book discusses the use of phorria and drug addiction is not my favorite thing in the world, so I really wouldn't come into this book for that at all. Like, come in for the prose and the writing, the commentary on drug addiction, not here. Especially what bothers me most is the plot of the story is that Hazar's drug addiction came from immense grief after Darius's mother died. Like, this was the love of his life, and she died. And then you see throughout the story, like, he has essentially kept in mint condition all of her belongings. He has a brush of hers that he just leaves and never cleans. He has all of her clothes hanging up. He has art of her hanging up. He has a lock of her hair, like, kept pristine in a notebook by the bed. He has so many things of hers. Like, he adored this woman and this was love his life, and he just felt into such immense grief, and that's what led to the drug abuse. But the commentary around it was more of like, he was just looking for power and he was too dumb to realize that this isn't real power. And I wasn't a fan of the way that drug abuse was talked about in this book, for one. For two, so there's this big there's this big underlying current, and it is like a major thing for Larkyra's character, is that she believes, she's under the understanding that she killed her mother when she was first born. Like, the cry of her being born killed her mother, and she just believed that for ages. And so you get to these points where she's trying to feel like the biggest struggle for her is feeling comfortable with her powers and not feeling like she has to constantly restrain them and like hold them down, tie them down, stuff like that, because she's worried she's going to hurt the people that she loves because of that incident. And I feel like it would have been good for the book to have her work with these issues and learn to like be comfortable with herself and her powers and stuff like this with this issue. But instead the book ended up just deciding to say, what do you mean? Like, this was your mother. You could never hurt her. Your powers came from her, so you could never hurt her. She was sick already, and she knew she would die. She knew she would die if she had you. Or she made the choice of either she would die having you, or you would die in the process of her trying to, like, get better. And she decided to give birth to you. And I just feel like it cheapened the journey for her, because it got rid of that main conflict for her, instead of having having her find a way to cope with that and with the fact that yes, it was a tragic event. It was still just yes, it was a tragic event, but it was in no way like something she could have controlled as a baby. All babies cry when they're born, for the most part. Like, it's not something that was at all within realms of her to be able to control. And as well as, like, she does end up going to see her mother, like her ghost mother, and like her mother's like, I have zero regrets about anything, and to still see like that interaction would have been nice. But I just feel like the fact that we decided to just cut that conflict out was a bit of a missed opportunity to put in the work to like really have this character actually learn to cope with this idea and with these events, and be able to find like security with herself after that. Okay, let me tell you guys some of the lines that I really liked in Jesus Christ. Some of the lines I really liked. Here we go. Like this one I just say like chef's kiss. That's all I say in the text, but it is. Her next words were lost as Hazar exploded with poisoned magic. Like a wave, it covered the floors, the walls, changing the fire from orange to blue. The room now churned and dripped with the thick, inky mucus of his drug and soured the aroma almost unbearable. The only thing illuminating their surroundings was the fire behind him, which blazed higher with his anger. Everyone in the dining hall froze, the servants' gazes transfixed upon a sightless point in front of them. Like that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Some smaller ones I thought were really nice. Lord McKenna started, a swallow bobbing his throat as his green eyes took her in. "Milady," he bowed. Or, "I am not one to judge others for their scars or misfortunes." His words hit Larkyra like a strange echo, her own beliefs repeated back. Like, there were so many instances of good prose and good writing in here that I really liked. How could the simple act of stringing certain words together change the very shape of a soul? Like, that's amazing. There are also, like, some parts that I thought weren't exactly great for me. Like, for instance, there's the line, "Though it appeared like an adorable home of a grandmother, anyone with sense knew such innocence always masked a kaleidoscope of nefarious intentions," which that was beautiful. But then they go on to say, "Sugar attracted sweet things better than blood, after all." And yes, but I feel like they should have gone like Venus flytrap, or like throw a Venus flytrap in there, because now it's kind of eliciting the idea that sugar in and of itself is bad, which it's not. It's a grain. When it's really processed, that's when things get bad. But sugar itself isn't really bad. Like anything, you just need it in moderation. Also, like, remember that like super anxious guy I was talking about earlier? This is a line I loved from him. "I do love to fish," friends talked over him. "But actually fish, I mean, not the sexual undertone I was hinting at earlier." He gave Darius a glassy-eyed smile. "You did catch that, right? That I wasn't actually talking of fishing with a lure in the line before, but of catching a woman?" And it's like, they were great at making this guy sound awkward as hell. It's so good. But yeah, that's this book for me. I was a big fan. I thought the writing was really done well. There were a couple points where the writing was awkward. Like at the very beginning, there were a handful of points where the language seemed a little weird, like almost like it was translated through Google Translate, which a bitch would know. Like, for instance, they would say, "Hello," gruff voice, and that would be the end of the line. And it's like, those don't really tie together. Like, it doesn't seem like one fluid sentence motion event. It seems like it was weird. It was weird. But I had another thing that I wanted to say. I forgot. I did pre-order the next book. I was a big fan. I just thought of something I wanted to say, but I forgot. No. Oh my God, why did I forget? Give me like 10 seconds. Oh, that's what it was. just letting you know, there is a sex scene in this book. It's not, it's like that sideways graphic kind of writing of it, where it's not using the actual like anatomical terms or anything like that. It's using like very fluffy dialogue to describe it, but it's describing it. That's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it wasn't like offensive to me or anything like that. It wasn't a problem. I didn't find it to be a problem to have in there, but it is in there. Just letting you know. That's what she said. God damn it, Nugget, you got a toy in the water. Well, I guess that's my cue to get off. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back next week with talking about the 7-day switch, which I have so many notes on this book. I have so many notes on this book. Oh my lord. But we'll get around to that eventually. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, valedictions, friends. Oh, everything looking?